Good news, everyone. We wrapped this all up in a 30-minute segment, including a fun chase scene with music. Zoom was behind everything. It was all a marketing ploy. Or have I gone quarantine crazy? I started practicing social distancing, which as an introvert didn't seem too crazy to me. But I went crazy because I decided to socially isolate. Instead of just seeing my friends online or on Facebook, I laid on the couch surrounded by wrappers. I didn't have to clean up for anyone. No one was coming over. I was becoming more and more isolated. I was just looking out the window hopelessly. What day was it? I remembered when I first moved to New Hampshire. What got me out of a really low point was I went to Toastmasters, and all I said was, I'm here because I need somewhere to be. And they could not have given me a more warm welcome. So I said, everything's online now. I decided a world tour of my own, and my first stop was Austin. And we might have someone here from Austin tonight. Immediately I was hooked. The first speech, social isolationship, how to have a relationship with yourself in social isolation. And of course, as you see from this slide, I do nothing casually. I took this world tour very seriously. I took a watercolor and I went nuts, traveling all over the United States, club after club, sometimes multiple a day. But I wanted to stay local too, have this tour in my pajamas. So I visited my club that was at my work. The last thing I wanted to do was see my coworkers and talk about work, but they surprised me. The first thing they said was, how's everyone doing? Broke complete protocol and said, I need a mental health check-in. My next trip was to Seattle. I went to the Seattle Lightworkers, which was a bunch of healing, holistic workers. I was very surprised because I didn't feel like I fit in. But what stuck out to me was when one woman said, I thought I had to be in California, but instead I found myself in Seattle, and this is my home. I tried to have fun with it too. This wasn't all a bunch of fuddy-duddies. I found a club called Dirty Jokes and Beer, and they read us erotica, and a few of the evaluators were drunk. It was a fun time. I was starting to have fun again, and so I went a little bit nuts, week 2, week 3, week 4. I was filling my calendar, several clubs a day. I kept myself busy, or I thought I was keeping myself busy. But as I kept doing this, I was no longer leaving the house at all. I was going from my bedroom to my workroom. At least I kept that separated. It was starting to feel more lonely than when I first started social distancing. Because I was no longer leaving the house, was this a distraction? Was it empty? Marie Kondo would ask, is this still sparking joy? Or was I feeling like mile 50 of an ultra marathon, even more alone, just a shadow in the darkness? This wasn't fulfilling me anymore. A good plan has a plan B. If it could be flexible, this goal can still work for you. We had a visitor from Sweden. She was visiting us and doing the same thing that I was doing. What I learned from her was she was doing a project outside of being online. She was taking teddy bears and she was filling them with notes or names and spreading them all over the forest because they were still allowed in the woods. And she asked us, can I put your name in a teddy bear in Sweden? She had a social, I believe it was Instagram account, where they hid them and they did it like a geocaching. People go and find them and have games with them, and they never had to see another person. It was all through these bears with this message. And that's how I ended up with a bear with my name on it in Sweden. I realized at that point, I needed to give back myself. I was taking more than I was giving. And being a wallflower in these clubs, I wanted to stay connected with the people who I was no longer connecting with, my trail family. I stopped running because I was so depressed. What I started to do was I went and started our own hashtag within my trail family so we can keep connected. And the thing that surprised me with that was people started to reach out. Hey, did you get out today? Do you need help getting out today? Do you need someone to pace you from a distance? We also followed the hashtag Scene Solo, I apologize. Scene Solo has been followed by trail runners all over the world. Now, what surprised me the most, that was most eye-opening, was wondering why I was so tired all the time before I was even leaving my house. I did a little bit of research, and psychologists are actually saying that Zoom wears you out even more than in-person contact. We're tricking ourselves that we're still together, but our body knows we're not. And that dissonance is exhausting. We're either in each other's presence or absence, but it's a blindfolding effect that's kind of there and not, a Schrodinger's presence. I took that information and said, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to focus on a project that I can go to Toastmasters with and contribute. We're all grieving in our own way. This is how I color. I'm not good at it, and it doesn't matter. The last lesson I learned from this world tour was you're okay. It's okay to not be okay, and it is okay to not be good at something. I joined a club, but I visited a club in Arizona, and it was completely impromptu. I got there and they told me what my role was. They said, give a speech. I almost left, but I said, I don't care if I'm bad at this. It's okay to be bad at this because we're all not okay. We're all grieving in our own ways. What I learned from the light workers most of all was they learn how to connect without being in person. The feelings, the energies, the light working inside of each of us. There doesn't need to be that physical barrier. Funny where we're coming from, the technology seemed to be the enemy until now. I was hooked on this obsession of trying to find people, but not looking for meaningful connections. Now I'm a contributor. I'm following the hashtags for making Excel sheets, and my whole trail family is watching each other, both on hashtag Scene Solo and my tour around the world. I'm still going on this crazy tour because I want to hear these stories. I want to hear someone say, I haven't seen you in a while, but it's okay. But it's also okay not to be okay. If I'm crabby today, I want this sign on my desk for later, even after the social isolation is done, because boundaries are important, even in a world where you live in a box. Thank you.